Hi, Braden. Excuse me. So our Bible study today is going to be about Saul again. We've been doing, it's been a few days now. I keep on harping on Saul, don't I? But there's a lot of stuff to learn about or from Saul. He did a lot of things that we can learn from. Most of them weren't very good. So today we're going to look at Saul. We're also going to look at another verse in another book about David. And so we're going to kind of compare and contrast a couple of things about Saul and David. So first we'll start with Saul. We're in 1 Samuel chapter 14. Saul is about to get into a battle with the Philistines again. And this all starts when he hears a commotion far away in the Philistine camp, and he can probably see the dust rising and hear some commotion and hear people shouting and fighting, but he doesn't understand what's going on. And he's confused. He doesn't know if he needs to attack. He doesn't know if he should retreat. So he doesn't know what to do. And so the first thing he does, and this is a good idea, is he says, we're going to pray. So they start to pray to ask God what they need to do, and the Philistines and the noise and the commotion starts getting closer. Well, then Saul makes a bad decision. He stops the prayer. In the middle of his prayer, he says, okay, stop. We're not praying anymore. We're just going to go. We're going to go attack. Well, stopping your prayer before God answers is probably not a good idea. And then Saul made another bad decision. He told all of his soldiers, we're going to win this battle. He was really excited and motivated. We're going to win this battle, and nobody's going to eat. None of you guys are going to eat until the battle is over, till the end of the day. Well, so the men were just exhausted and tired and weak. They did end up winning the battle. But when the battle was over at the end of the day, the men were so hungry that they took the Philistine animals and they killed them right there on the spot, and they just started eating the meat without cooking it and without draining the blood out of it. Well, that's really disgusting, first of all. But more importantly, besides just being disgusting, is it was a sin against God. It was against God's law at that time to eat meat with the blood still in it. So, in his poor decision making, he caused his men to sin against God. Now let's compare that with David. In 1 Chronicles chapter 14. David is also fighting the Philistines. Now this is several years later, after David has become king. It says, God answered. Let me back up. David is about to attack the Philistines, and he stops. And he says, we're going to pray. But David prayed until he got an answer. Different than what Saul did. So, 1 Chronicles 14, God answered, this time don't attack head on. Circle around and come at them out of the balsam grove. That's a kind of tree. When you hear a sound like shuffling feet in the tops of the balsams, attack. God will be 2 steps ahead of you, slaughtering the Philistines. And that day, the Israelites won a miraculous victory over the Philistines. So what we see, the difference between those two, first of all, like I said, Saul didn't finish his prayer. He started off with a good idea, but then he stopped his prayer in the middle and just decided to go off on his own and do his own thing. We've talked about that before. You got to wait on God. Don't get ahead of God. Whereas David prayed, he stopped, he prayed, he waited, he got an answer, and then he moved on. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson is sometimes I have this problem where I don't think I know what exactly it is that God wants me to do. You know, I might pray for something and I feel like God's not answering my question. But we see in this example with David, God gave very, very specific answer to David's prayer. Let's read it again. This time, don't attack head-on. Circle around and come at them out of the balsam grove. He told them He told David exactly what route he needed to take, and he even gave him clues around the balsam trees. And then he said, and then listen for a sound. And he said, then attack. So God gave him very specific directions, step by step, what he needed to do. So that proves to us that God does give us, or can give us, and has given in the past, very specific directions. So what I'm going to start doing is asking God to speak to me like you did to David. Lord, give me instructions and directions that are step by step and very clear. Now, He's done that on a lot of occasions with me, with the things that we're trying to do, with going into the chaplaincy and places that we're supposed to move. God has led us step by step, but a lot of times I didn't realize it. But I want Him, and I think we should pray that He guides us in everything we ask Him to be very specific so that we know very clearly what it is He wants us to do. That's all for now. Have a good day. Love you.